Everywhere you look, the rich history of the United Kingdom is there to be seen. But hidden beneath our feet, there's still a wealth of archaeological treasure just waiting to be found. That's why each year, all across the country, our archaeologists dig, dive, and explore their way down.
Oh my God! Some of the best stuff you're ever going to see.
Oh wow.
Look at this. We got an arrowhead.
Searching for fresh discoveries.
Hypercaust.
Revealing the imprint of ancient civilizations.
It's been there for 5,500 years.
And unearthing fascinating objects.
Fantastic decoration. Any musket balls yet, Aaron?
Wow, look at that.
Every dig adds new pieces to the ever-growing archaeological jigsaw that is the epic story of our islands.
And I'm down.
This year, I visit digs in some extraordinary locations and solve mysteries using cutting-edge tools.
Oh, this is wonderful.
I'm joined by a trio of expert investigators.
So you can see how that gives you a really unique signature.
That's right. Excellent.
So they were using food as a type of bribery.
Who dig deeper to answer the questions raised by the finds.
That's how he got away with it.
Exactly.
Finally, the archaeologists bring their best discoveries into our tent
Yeah, it's a cracking find.
for up-close analysis.
So it's completely unique impression. That's wonderful.
Welcome to Digging for Britain. This time we take a look at the most fascinating digs and discoveries taking place in the east of the country. I return to the site of one of the most extraordinary Roman finds of recent decades,
Oh, wow, look at that.
where an entire villa complex is being revealed.
Each of these layers is another phase of occupation, isn't it?
In Hull, a Tudor fort has been built from the rubble of once magnificent monasteries.
So what is it then?
This is the central part of a spiral staircase.
Yes.
And we see hunting weapons mysteriously abandoned on an ancient island in Yorkshire 11,000 years ago.
And then you start wondering why, don't you? Wondering if this is just purely functional, whether there's, I hate to use the R word, but a bit of ritual associated with this.
A sunny climate and fertile soil has helped parts of England's east become known as Britain's breadbasket. The Romans recognised this advantage. They also brought new farming ideas as they made themselves at home in those early centuries. We journey back to the site of a Roman farm and villa in a wheat field near the town of Stamford in Rutland.
I was here in this field almost exactly a year ago, witnessing what has to be one of the most astonishing, beautiful and unexpected archaeological finds that I've seen in my lifetime.
And this year, the big discoveries just keep on coming. It all began in 2020 when a farmer's son spotted a clear rectangular crop mark in his dad's wheat field. Jim Irvin and his family investigated and soon found they'd uncovered hundreds of small coloured tiles known as tesserae.
There's another panel! There's another panel!
University of Leicester Archaeological Services were quickly called in.
I'm just tickling it and I'm getting more mosaic underneath.
They soon realised they had something very special on their hands, a huge and exquisite Roman mosaic. And in 2021,
My heart is racing.
I was lucky enough to help uncover it.
Oh, Jim, I'm quite emotional doing this. It's just amazing.
But the mosaic and the large building it was inside were just the tip of the iceberg. surveys showed a number of other substantial structures spread across the field, hidden just beneath the surface.
Now I'm back and this is looking completely different from last year, and I can't wait to see what they've uncovered.
John Thomas is back overseeing the investigation of this villa complex that extends over 13 acres.
John, I couldn't wait to come back this year to find out how things were progressing. So what are you doing?
So if you imagine the mosaic is the sort of cherry on the top of the cake, we've come to investigate the cake of the site this time. And we wanted to look at a range of different building types that we could see to try and get an idea of the chronology of the site. Who lived here when and how did it develop over time?
Yeah, because presumably there's the potential that actually it spans a good few centuries.
Yeah, we think so. I mean, we're looking really to try and get a better insight into how it all developed and the history of the site.
Last year's spectacular mosaic has now been reburied for preservation.
And it's still there under our feet.
It's still there, yes.
Yeah.
But in the same villa in an adjacent room, dig leader Jen Browning has another mosaic to show me.
And if we peel this back as far as we can...
Oh, wow, look at that.
Oh, look,
there's a little bunny.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, well, the Romans brought them, didn't they? So he must feel at home. Off he goes.
Back to safety.
That is beautiful. What a lovely design.
It's amazing.
Yeah, there's all these intersecting circles in blue and terracotta. And they're creating these kind of lozenge shapes.
But the more you look at it, the more you see. I mean, you can see almost like sort of star shapes in there or flower shapes.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, really.
The team believe this high-status villa, with its beautiful mosaics, was built late in the 4th century, an addition to a large complex made up of around a dozen individual buildings. Whoever lived here was clearly very rich. The wider villa complex is providing clues about the source of that wealth. These buildings sat at the centre of a large working farm.
Outside this pit, away to the right, we have this gully. And what we're finding here and in the other features we're excavating is that many of them are filled with burnt organic remains. Lots of botanical remains from cereal crops that are either being processed or damaged in storage.
If the villa is the final cherry on the top, the building that's being uncovered at the bottom of the field is turning out to be a layer cake of clues, taking us back to earlier centuries.
So it stretches all the way from the wall that you can see there, right the way under our feet, right the way back to just before the fencing.
Yeah.
So this is all within the building.
That's massive. What are we looking at? 20, 30 metres?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
Here, there are clear traces of how the owners of this farm changed and improved their buildings over time.
This is so complicated.
Yes.
Can we get down and have a look at it?
Complicated.
There's so much
like
going on.
So look down there.
That's a post hole.
That is a post hole. Because what's happened is they've built the wall around it.
Oh, OK, so the timber's still in situ. So this massive big post is still in situ, and then this is all being built around it. It becomes part of the wall. It's in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it start off life, do you think, as a timber building, which then later gets these stone walls kind of built into the skeleton of that timber building?
I think that's very much the case. And that's why it's so interesting to have the contrast between what we're getting at this end of the building and what we see at the other end of the building, which is so much simpler, presumably for agricultural purposes.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's something that develops quite richly, really, as time goes on.
And someone spotted its residential potential. Could this be Britain's earliest barn conversion?
So is this a villa in its own right?
This is like the residential side.
Yeah.
So what we...
Hypercaust?
Yes.
Oh,
and it's not just one hypercaust.
Beautiful.
There's two.
The upgrades to this building include this hypercaust underfloor heating system, which circulates hot air from a furnace. It's the signature of a comfortable Roman lifestyle.
I mean, what's really important about this room is how hot it is. And we know that it's really hot because these are box flue. So these are, you know, they're taking the hot air up the wall, They're hidden behind the plaster.
Oh my God!
And we've actually got
and they're
remains
actually there
in situ.
Yes, because you find pieces of this on Roman villa sites, but
to
here
see
you
them
can
in
actually
situ.
so you can see the shape of the box.
Yes, yes, and
so this is a channel in the wall with hot air that's been circulating around there, and then it's being sucked up these flues, and it's heating the walls as well. Then, isn't it?
That's right, and they're really close together.
Yeah.
So it's very warm in here.
The quality of this hypercaust suggests someone here was investing heavily in creature comforts, building a small but perfectly formed mini Roman spa.
So you come through the really hot caldarum, the sauna, into
the tepid area,
slightly cooler but still warm room, and then you come and jump into this cool bath at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, all squeezed into this very small space.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
The timber post holes, along with some datable coins, suggest this was one of the earlier buildings within the villa complex.
Will the knees work? Yes, they will.
This building would undergo repeated refurbishments over perhaps 2 centuries, one on top of another.
This is beautiful. You've got to come down here and have a look at this. This is absolutely gorgeous, because each of these layers is another phase of occupation, isn't it?
Yes.
There's another floor level, and you can just see them. I mean, how many do you think you've got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 at least. There's probably more.
The phases of development across the site, with a range of domestic and agricultural buildings, suggest at least 300 years of active use. The villa complex became more lavish over time, and this country estate would have teemed with dozens of people, slaves, servants, and the owners. The personal items emerging from the ground give us a glimpse of the people who lived here, as Historic England's find specialist Rachel Cubitt is showing me.
We have had 2 or 3 of these lovely bone hairpins, so they're sort of similar in having a globular head and then a shaped shaft. Mine tapers from the head to the tip.
Yeah.
The fact that yours has a swelling shaft means it's slightly later in date. That's mid-2nd century onwards, whereas these are slightly earlier.
Yeah.
We know that Roman women wore their hair in updos and they put pins in to secure them. So, I mean, it makes sense that there would be women on this site, but we've got evidence for them here in their hair fixings. So that's
I'm kind of wishing I'd done that with my hair today, actually. It's blowing all over the place, yeah. So that's actually giving you some clues as to the earliest phases of this site?
Yes.
Yeah. What's in
so
that
our
box?
star object really is in here. This is a pair of dividers. So I guess you need to think about a pair of compasses that you might have had at school, but instead of having a pencil and a point, we've got 2 points here.
Yeah. For measuring.
For measuring, for marking out. Quite solid and beautifully carved and moulded. We've got ring and dot design and various incised lines. And then this lovely hinge at the top.
Yeah. That's beautiful. As you passed it over to me, I suddenly caught sight of this design. It's very much a functional object, but with this fantastic decoration.
And in incredible condition.
What is really interesting about coming and seeing this excavation as it happens is that you are getting an idea of how this place evolves over time. I think when you visit known villa sites, you're often presented with just a snapshot of that villa at a particular time in a particular century. Here what we're getting is the way that all these buildings, there's a whole load of buildings in this field, the way that they changed through time.
The final phases of archaeology show the villa in decline. Walls collapsing, buildings abandoned. The Roman army was pulled out of Britain just decades after the Trojan War mosaic was laid out, and the villa fell into disrepair. Later occupiers lit fires on top of the mosaic, devastating whole sections. Before it was reburied, the mosaic was photographically recorded, but the discoloration obscured the design, so a specialist archaeological illustrator was called in.
So this is the body of Hector that we've got coming up here.
David Neal's task is to reconstruct the mosaic in its original colours. He showed me a copy of his painting back in 2021, when it was still a work in progress.
So how many tesserae are represented in this part of the mosaic that's already been uncovered?
60,000 at a guess.
Yeah.
I suspect we may have to paint yet another 30 to 40,000 tesserae.
Oh my goodness, and you are painting them individually?
Yes.
Over a career spanning more than 60 years, David has become the leading expert on British mosaics as he paints each one tessera by tessera. And now he's nearly finished, David's brought along his painting of the Trojan War mosaic.
Oh, that's wonderful, David. Wow, look at that.
If you remember, you've got Hector fighting Achilles.
Yeah.
Then Priam pleading for mercy.
And this is a little bit of the mosaic
That's the bit that you excavated. That's
yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. And Hector very dead, very white.
But I just think it's magical.
David has had to paint around 100,000 tesserae to create this image.
So have you got a few finishing touches to push to this?
Yes, I've got to change the colour of these two legs to white.
Oh, how are you going to do that without losing the detail of the tesserae?
Well, I've got a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
And there's the brush that you're going to use.
What? I'm not going to touch this.
No, but we're going to get you to do a little sketch, well, not a sketch, painting some tesserae.
Okay.
Whilst David makes his corrections, I seize the chance to acquire some tips on illustrating mosaics from the master.
So, why is this better or necessary alongside the photographic record?
The whole point about drawing the mosaic is that by emphasising the lines, it's clearer than a photograph.
Yeah.
Problem, of course, has been trying to illustrate Achilles up here because it was so burnt. So I've removed the burning. I've tried to establish what the colours were originally. So it's in that respect, it's a recreation.
Yeah.
I don't attempt to restore the missing areas.
No.
But the very process of observation is part of the archaeological process.
Yeah.
It is slow and requires immense patience. But the colour and composition of this Roman masterpiece are brought back to life through David's technical expertise. It's a truly specialist skill, and in our digital age, at risk of becoming a lost art.
So, David, have you got apprentices lined up doing this work?
Alas, I have to report, I don't have any youngsters coming along to do this work, and it's a great shame. How's it going?
It's going all right, but I've got a large hole here, so I'm having to fill it in with uneven tesserae.
Oh, that's coming along nicely.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I'll pass on the baton to you.
I think I'd have to have a very good audiobook to listen to. I don't think my tesserae are very square.
I dreamt I flew with the saints last night. I know them all by wing size, and up there it just doesn't count for naught whether you're clever or wise.
As we travel further back in time, long before the Romans arrived, the traces of our ancestors in the landscape become more scarce. Each rare glimpse is very precious. This is especially true of the time before farming, when people were still nomadic and lived by hunting and gathering. But as archaeologists are finding at our next dig, just outside Scarborough in East Yorkshire, life in the Mesolithic was about more than just simple survival.
Traditionally, people think about animals in terms of resources, calories, food. I'm really interested in thinking about what other things animals may have been to humans in the past.
Nick Overton is one of several leading archaeologists who've brought their students to dig on this patch of slightly elevated land.
If you were standing here 11,000 years ago, we would actually be standing on an island in the middle of an ancient lake.
The island was no bigger than a couple of football pitches and surrounded by a vast lake. Over thousands of years, the trees and plants growing in these wet conditions would rot down to form a thick layer of peat.
Peat retains the moisture, so we are getting wood and animal bone, which looks like it's as fresh as the day it went in. The animal bone have really fine cut marks that we can see, which are great traces of human activity. So the preservation is absolutely incredible.
Examples of this amazing preservation have been captured on the team's dig diary.
Here we have a hazelnut. It fell off a tree about 11,000 years ago. Perfectly preserved.
These discoveries are all coming from a narrow strip at the island's edge, where the water would have been just half a metre deep.
The shoreline is very much a Goldilocks scenario. It's the right place to find potentially intense places of activity that gives us a really good snapshot into what people are doing.
This is a pretty large flint flake. It's quite exceptional to get these large pieces on Mesolithic sites, I think. I've been traveling for a bit and I didn't find anything. I was like, okay, it's 3 o'clock, I have to go home. And I was like, 5 more minutes. And I hit this. I was like, okay, last find of the day. That's good, that's good.
A flint like this could have been brought to the island to butcher hunted animals.
We are finding the remains of elk, auroch, wild boar, red deer.
But it's the evidence the team aren't finding that is surprising.
It looks like not all of the animal body is present. So we're getting vertebra, we're getting ribs, we're getting scapula, so the shoulder blades, and then there's a real gap. So the limbs, almost entirely missing, and then we get down to the feet and they're present again. They are killing animals, they are processing them in some way, and then parts of the animal bodies are being brought to this site and intentionally deposited in this water. It's also a really discrete group of bones. It's spreading just across our trench and about 4 or 5 metres wide. So it feels like it's not just a random scatter of odd pieces of bone. It feels like it's a really intentional act of deposition.
Adding to the mystery is the discovery of exceptionally rare hunting tools placed alongside the animal remains. Dig co-leader Amy Gray-Jones carefully lifts one of them from the peat.
So I've just come across this group of artefacts and I can see we've got a barbed antler point here.
The barbs carved into this piece of antler make it into a lethal spear point, which would have stuck in the flesh of an animal or fish.
To have a complete barb point is really special. So we'll just see if we can release that so that we can lift it out of the way. But
each day, new discoveries add to the picture of these hunters surviving in the landscape, but also hint at layers of meaning beyond the purely functional.
They are foraging, they are hunting and gathering and fishing, but they also have really rich and complex lives where they are interacting with the world around them. We're really hopeful that we can start to get a grasp on when people are coming to this site, how often they're using the site, and also what they're doing. It's very exciting. I think we're still pinching ourselves a bit.
Nick and his dig co-director, Barry Taylor, have brought some of their finds and their ideas about the site to the Digging for Britain tent.
Ah, fantastic. So these are all finds that have come out from the edge of the island?
That's right, yeah.
What do they tell us about what people were using the island for?
I think we often think about hunter-gatherers being very sort of mobile, maybe living on the edge of starvation, sort of struggling to get by. But I don't think that's the case. These are people that are happy and confident in the landscape they live in. They know what they're doing. They know how to live and to live well in that landscape.
Absolutely. And we don't have to think about them necessarily doing large-scale kind of movements over hundreds of miles, as you might think with nomadic groups sometimes, because the area around the lake would have been full of, resources, plant and animal resources.
Yeah. So let's have a look at these finds. I mean, this is an antler, so presumably this isn't about food.
That's right. So you can see stone tools have been used to carve grooves through the side of the antler. And so they'd lever that off, and so you'd end up with this blank of really sort of firm material.
Yeah.
And they're using that to produce these.
They are absolutely beautiful, aren't
These
they?
are barbed antler projectile points. So they'd have been hafted on a spear or an arrow. They'd be used for hunting, fishing, also for fowling, maybe taking out smaller mammals as well. So they're quite versatile. Yeah, these ones have got this sort of serrated edge. I find a lot of them are broken as well. And you do wonder as well if some of them are being broken deliberately, because they are quite tough. So they're disassembling these things.
Yeah.
They're depositing the antler component with the material that's being made from and with the remains of the animals.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that's a very useful thing. You're going to be upset about losing that, and you're not just going to leave it somewhere.
No.
So it does look like there might be some intention.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's this? Because I think I can see some pattern on that.
This was our star find. So that's the tang. So that's the bit that goes into the arrow shaft.
Right. Okay. So that's the bottom end
Yeah.
of the projectile point. Yeah.
And then, yeah, both sides a series of chevrons running down the tang, really.
Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful piece. It's the only one we've got from the site that's decorated.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, it's the only example from Britain as well.
Is it?
So it's a cracking find.
So it's completely unique in Britain. That's wonderful. So this is a fantastically well-preserved and articulated spine. Was it actually articulated in situ?
It was almost exactly like this. A few of them were slightly apart, but that's almost certainly because it's gone into water.
Yeah.
And so as it's broken down, it's just sort of moved apart slightly, which tells us that they had soft tissue attached to them. So
Yeah.
it wasn't long after this animal died and was butchered that then this part was then placed into about 1/2 metre of water. If you look along this edge, so all of these...
Something's missing.
Yeah, let me show you one of these.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
you
So
have a
there
look at
should
that.
be large levers sticking out at the side of the vertebrae here. There should be transverse processes.
And every single one they're missing, so
Yeah.
we know for certain that this is related to human activity at the
Yes.
site.
So they're not bringing the entire animal to the island, or they haven't killed the entire animal on the island and they're butchering it locally. They're bringing parts of it.
That's exactly what it looks like, yeah.
Yeah. And then you start wondering why, don't you? And wondering if this is just purely functional, whether there's, I hate to use the R word, but a bit of ritual associated with this.
You could certainly imagine that this is evidence of people in the Mesolithic having rules about how to deal with particular things that they kill and hunt and use.
This is probably one of a handful of sites in Britain of this date with this amount of material in this condition. It's so rare and so important just to find sites like this, because the amount of detail you can start getting into to reconstructing people's lives is it's almost unparalleled. It's absolutely fantastic.
It's brilliant, and it's giving us this insight into these hunter-gatherers living in Britain thousands of years before farming arrives in this country.
For centuries, the seas around Britain have been crucial to trade and transport links with the continent. Along the eastern coastline, estuaries and rivers have been gateways for commerce, but also vulnerable to attack. Our next dig takes us to the Humber estuary as it widens to meet the North Sea, Kingston upon Hull. The city's maritime tradition stretches back over 800 years, including that period of seismic change, the Tudor era.
This aquarium, the Deep, stands here fortress-like on the junction between the River Hull flowing out to meet the Humber estuary, and then the North Sea is over there. Well, back in the 16th century, the banks of the estuary would have been right back here. And on the west bank, we would have had the medieval city of Kingstown, Kingston upon Hull. But this east bank is just muddy, undeveloped, and it's a soft underbelly. It makes the city intensely vulnerable. Henry VIII recognises that and puts in a line of defences along this east bank, terminating in a fort at this southern end, and that fort is being excavated right now.
The south blockhouse was shaped like a cloverleaf and housed 46 cannons. It was part of a chain of defences on the east bank of the River Hull. This beautiful plan made in the 1600s shows how these defences played a crucial role in securing the river port, encouraging the investment and trade that made Hull prosperous. The south blockhouse was demolished in the 1800s to make way for industrial dockyards, so finding any Tudor remains is a challenge, as archaeologist Danny explains.
Where are we in the building? I find it really confusing. This is still the Tudor building here, is it?
Yeah, kind of. We are over here in the entranceway.
Yeah.
What we're trying to work out over here, though, is exactly where that gatehouse was, because, as you can see, they've just made a right mess of it. We've got this massive culvert comes all the way through where we think might be kind of the gate bit.
And is that a later feature then, that culvert? Yeah.
Simple plans provide hints of what might lie here, and this excavation is the first time that this much of the blockhouse's original footprint has been uncovered. Pete Connolly of Humber Field Archaeology wants to find out as much as he can about how it was built and what life was like here.
So the foundations from where we're standing,
Yeah.
the base of them are about 3 metres below our feet.
Wow.
4 metres wide,
Yeah.
2 metres deep.
So you've got 2 metres?
Yeah,
of
2 metres.
2 metres solid?
And this is just one.
Yeah.
There's another 2.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all connected with a massive brick wall.
These new style forts were squat structures with curved walls, heavily reinforced to withstand attack by projectiles or siege weapons. But the debris used to infill these huge brick walls is not just any old rubble.
So what is it then? I mean, this has got a kind of cylindrical portion to it.
This is the central part of a spiral staircase.
Yes. Okay, so that's the shaft that goes up in the
Yep,
middle.
yep.
And then this is the beginning of a step.
Yeah.
And then you have the next one.
Yep.
Going
Yeah.
round and round and round. So these aren't really small finds, are they? They're quite large finds. Where do they come from?
These have been recovered from religious monasteries or houses as they're being taken apart as part of that dissolution of the monasteries. And then, waste not, want not, the builders of the blockhouse
Yeah.
taking this material and then infilling it into the building itself.
And it really just places us in that time, doesn't it? Because the dissolution is starting in 36.
Yeah.
And then this is built in the 40s?
40s, yeah.
1540s?
Yeah, yeah.
The demolition of those monasteries and priories and friaries, and now, very symbolically, it is just hardcore.
That recycled stone underpinned a fort bristling with firepower, each cannon with its own fortified position. Peter's now identified evidence of these distinctive features.
This is an original Tudor gun position, is it?
Yeah, this is an original Tudor gun position.
So there would have been a cannon right there where you're standing?
So we're in this gun position here.
Isn't that fantastic?
A complete cannon was found here in the 1990s and is now in a museum mounted on a reproduction wooden carriage. Almost no wood has been found at the dig, but a student archaeologist has just made an exciting discovery.
Oh, that is cool.
Look at it, we're right here.
Oh, he's loving it, look. Oh, I love it.
This wood could be part of a Tudor gun carriage, but a later stone wall has been built right over it, so it will be recorded and left in situ. However, Pete has successfully uncovered the place where he thinks the gun crews cooked and kept warm.
This looks like burning.
Yeah, it is. You've got a fireplace. Oh, the classic Tudor herringbone pattern fireplace.
Yeah.
You're not seeing this type of structure anywhere else in the building.
Yeah.
And if you've got maybe 6 members of staff, you don't need to heat the rest of the building, but you want to give them some comfort. But
what's this wall then?
At some point, this separating wall goes in to separate this space from this space. So they're making the fireplace smaller, but it's still functioning.
It's really interesting, isn't it? That you're gradually taking it apart and working out how it was put together over time.
Yeah.
a great site, isn't it? Such gorgeous archaeology. Finds which take us to the details of the soldiers' lives.
And by piecing together the archaeology that Pete's team have uncovered, we can add it to the plans and drawings and create a much clearer picture of how impressive the South Blockhouse was, standing guard over Kingston upon Hull.
The Neolithic is when farming arrives in Britain. It was a completely new way of life, replacing the hunter-gatherer existence of earlier ancestors. But those early farmers were still using stone tools. They weren't yet making anything out of metal. That's not to say their tools were crude, far from it. The cutting-edge technology of the time was based on this, flint. It forms in sedimentary rock, it's extremely hard, and it fractures like glass to create a cutting edge that's as sharp as any metal knife.
We see just how versatile this stone could be at our next dig in Harlexton, 30 miles south of Lincoln. The rather splendid Harlexton Manor is an international college, and Emily Stamiti is running a summer dig for overseas students. Crop marks suggest this field contains prehistoric features.
Out of this trench, we've managed to find hundreds of pieces of worked flint that actually show evidence of reworking, so real, actual tools that people would have been handling and using. Flint is not naturally occurring in this landscape, so we don't understand how we're acquiring so much flint from this feature.
Each piece of flint could be a waste flake or part of a tool or weapon, but the students have only a few days to find something extra special.
It's like a race against the clock. Dig, sieve, and some of the best finds are coming out of those sieves.
Ooh, oh nice. Look at this. So here's a piece of a flint. I think you can tell it's worked. I seem to see some percussion ripples going down this way.
So far, over 600 flints have been catalogued by find supervisor Kim Jones.
This edge has been deliberately broken. You've got a cutting edge there that's still quite sharp, and the rounded ended into a scraper. Best way to think of this is a multi-tool. You can cut, scrape, and scoop, all in one tool.
So we found this like biface here. We got an arrowhead. We were just trying to follow this trench here, and so we were shoveling up some of the loose dirt, and just happened to be poking out right there. That's pretty cool, actually.
This barbed and tanged arrowhead is from the late Neolithic or early Bronze Age.
First one of these I ever found, I was 6 years old in my back garden. I'm now 54, I've been an archaeologist for over 30 years. This is only the second one I've held like this. So forget gold coins. That is actually a better find. Most arrowheads are something pretty primitive. Once you go to this, barbed tang, fine flaking, this is overkill, this is bling. You don't need this for everyday use. They've worked them specially.
This site shows just how skilled those flint knappers were, able to shape this stone with great precision and to make a variety of different tools. Stuart Pryor is going back to school to sharpen up his knapping knowledge and see how this technology developed over time.
I'm fascinated to see what it takes to make a usable flint tool. So I've come to meet James Dilley.
Hey, Stuart. How are you doing?
An absolute authority on flint knapping skills and their history. I see we're surrounded by the tools and the flint of your trade, James.
Yeah, it's a skill that anyone can really do because it's not about strength. And the way that I'm going to get into it is to use another very much Stone Age tool,
just a beach pebble.
Okay.
No, nothing too refined even
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
stage. And this is usually when people are expecting a really big strike onto the flint, but it's not, because you can hit it like so.
And you've got, that's brilliant.
With a fairly light strike. I've almost just used the weight of the stone.
So I've experimented with using flint tools in the past, but I've never made the tools themselves.
Good. Tilt the flint downwards a bit more, that's it.
This is hard, very hard.
Good, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
A bit more of that. Excellent. Oh, that sounded good. That real crisp crack. That's a great one. So, this would be a good blank, a good flake to turn into something like a scraper. So, with a smaller, slightly rougher pebble, all you really need to do is just tilt it down again in your hand or even against your leg and just start taking some very small flakes off.
So working on this, it's like the tools, the trade, for absolutely everybody. It goes right through society, from the youngest kids all the way to the grandparents.
And it would have been integral to their daily lives, from waking up in the morning and preparing some food, using the stone tools then, or going out for a day's work with a stone axe to clear some forest.
The flint flake I made easily skinned locally culled deer meat. I cannot believe how useful this tool is and how quickly we've managed to produce something that was workable. And you can see, look at the thinness of that. It's just so impressive. It's amazing how quickly I can make an effective stone tool using just a pebble and flint core. But relying on Neolithic tools to take these flakes to the bling level takes a lot of patience and skill. So James, you're recreating that barbed and tanged arrowhead from Harloxton. This arrowhead fast forwards us to the transition between late Neolithic and early Bronze Age. In this period, copper was used in tools, allowing creation of finer details in flint work.
Arrowheads were made like this back in the early Neolithic when they were using antler pressure flakers. And an antler by itself would be good up until about this stage. But to really turn this into a recognisable barbed and tanged arrowhead, I need to start flaking 2 notches from the base.
So that tool gives you more control?
I could make the antler very, very thin to fit into those notches, but it just doesn't have the same strength. So the antler tool will just keep breaking at the end of it. So I've got some flexibility with copper, as well as it being a flexible metal and soft as well. And I need that slight softness so that as I push into the edge, that the hard flint still bites into the copper. So as I'm pushing those notches steadily across the back, from the base of the arrowhead, you can see they're getting longer and longer.
I've seen them in museums, but actually to see one made before your eyes is quite startling. So James today made this incredible wafer thin Bronze Age arrowhead. I'd never seen how tang and barbed arrowheads are made, and the skill and the technology was just sensational. However, as expert as his flint knapping is, the jury is still out on whether James would have cut it as a Bronze Age hunter. Hey!
When you see an object on display in a museum, it can seem as though we know everything there is to know about it. But sometimes a crucial detail may have been missed, or perhaps we know more about the period now than we did at the time of its discovery. Or it may be that we can revisit it and unlock new information using modern scientific techniques. Now, this is exactly what happens in our next story, and that process of rediscovery started with a keen eye.
For this investigation, we return to the city of Hull. Tucked away in the historic Old Town is the Hull and East Riding Museum of Archaeology. Inside is one of the best collections of Iron Age artefacts outside London. So no surprise then that Iron Age expert Mel Giles knows it well.
One object that's always caught my eye is this beautiful long brooch, which is more colourful than any brooch I've seen from the Iron Age.
Found in 1900 in East Yorkshire, this unusual brooch has been on display since the 1940s, but has never been examined in detail, leaving many questions unanswered.
This brooch has packed within it so much history about the Iron Age and about what it might have meant to people and the connections it embodies.
Mel asked the British Museum's top Iron Age brooch specialist to undertake an in-depth scientific examination. And the results are coming through, so Kat Jarman is investigating.
I've come here to meet Sophie Adams, who's been looking at this unique brooch in extraordinary detail for the first time in nearly a century, to find out exactly what modern methods can reveal about it. Sophie, hi.
Hi, Kat.
Ah, wow, it's stunning. But what's so special about this particular brooch?
The thing that really stands out for everybody is the decoration along the bow of it.
Yeah. So you've got lots of different materials, haven't you?
Exactly. And if we start with slightly lower resolution, but still a close example we can have here, and we have a look at the objects.
This low magnification allows us to begin to see detail in the decoration. But is it possible to identify what materials these Iron Age craftspeople used?
So, Kat, can you see on the screen there the surface of the object?
The first decoration we look at was thought to be malachite, a green stone commonly used in the Iron Age. You can see that, so it's almost like it's got a different colour underneath, and then it's got patchy bits of the green over the top, which look quite a lot like the corrosion on the other side, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's that bright bluish green really stands out for you there. We have, over the top of the material, these copper corrosion products, just as you might get where bronze corrodes itself. So that's masked the material underneath it.
A higher magnification confirms even more clearly that the copper oxide corrosion has obscured the identity of the original decoration.
So it's a shell that's of kind of pinky colour and gone green from the corrosion. But it's a particular type of shell, often known as a tusk shell or Antalis vulgaris.
Okay.
Which is a very pointy shell that occurs in southwest Britain and western Mediterranean.
Oh, okay.
And they've cut it down and shaped it and put it into the cell here.
It's our first breakthrough. The materials in this brooch, found buried in a Yorkshire grave, were far from local. Sophie was able to investigate a second type of decoration on the brooch in even greater detail.
In the middle we have these beads, and we examined with the scanning electron microscope. And this can give you really good detail of the topography of the material and the composition of it. So this is going even closer, getting right in there.
Now Sophie's images show the beads magnified several thousand times. Just looks like gravel, doesn't it? Or something like that.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But as we zoom in, the texture that's showing up here.
It's not much to look at, but this surface microtexture is almost like a material fingerprint. Sophie cross-checks this unique marker against other known materials in a database.
We've been able to identify that they're Corallian rubrum.
Oh, okay.
Which you may be more familiar with as just red or pink coral, which is coming from the Mediterranean.
And that is just such an exciting result, because actually the difference between having coral from the Mediterranean or just some stone that you might be able to find locally That's actually huge, isn't it? And that's you wouldn't know that 100 years ago because you didn't have those methods available to you.
Yeah, so it's like we've re-excavated this brooch, you know, we're treating it as it's a new find.
Yeah.
Putting the science that we have available at it.
Yeah.
And we can find out new things.
Sophie's findings show how Iron Age Britons had extensive trade networks. That's so exciting. Because then the question, of course, is which part of this travelled? You know, was it just the materials? Was it a craftsperson travelling with it? There's so many things, isn't there, that you can get from that.
Well, we call this really a microcosm of the Iron Age.
It's wonderful. It just shows you the power of every little object to tell something so much bigger about the entire period, really, I think.
In an archaeological dig, we see features and finds being revealed, but this is really just the start, and the process of analysis and interpretation can take years, especially when the site is not only huge, but also perhaps the most complete time capsule of prehistoric life ever found in Britain. This extraordinary dig took place in the fenlands of Cambridgeshire, at Must Farm, just 3 miles from Peterborough. 3,000 years ago, a thriving village was destroyed in a catastrophic fire. The roundhouses collapsed and sank into the marshy fens, where their timbers and their contents were perfectly preserved in the sediment.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's beyond any sort of dream of what you could do within archaeology.
The discovery of this community frozen in a moment of disaster earned the Must Farm site the nickname of Britain's Pompeii. Archaeologists suddenly had an astonishingly clear window into domestic life in Britain during the Bronze Age. The way that people arranged and divided up their living space inside roundhouses has never been well understood, so it was remarkable to find distinct kitchen areas in each house that were also very well equipped.
So we've got a bowl here, there's a wooden platter starting to come up here, there's a big storage vessel just there, there's more bowls just over here.
These pots and bowls, some still containing food, were potentially the most revealing finds at Must Farm. They were also very fragile. Now, Andrew Broodnell and Chris Wakefield from the Cambridge Archaeological Unit are ready to share their latest findings from this incredible site. Thank you so much for bringing all these pots in, and we've got a wonderful range of pots here, and I know just some of them are incredibly fragile, like this one here, which you've pieced back together just with tape, but we can see the structure of it. How many potsherds were you dealing with, and how long did it take you to know which pieces belong to which pots?
Almost 2,500 sherds of pottery. So out of those 2,500 sherds, coming together and spending time in a room produced 128 individual vessels.
And that process took about 7 days. There was 3 of us, you know, doing full days of refitting, sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
It's a bit like having a jigsaw puzzle, apart from you don't have all of the pieces, and you don't even have the box to work from in terms of the actual picture. So it's a really difficult process, but it's so rewarding in terms of the information that we can actually draw from that.
I presume this was quite a challenge to piece together.
This pot was actually one of the vessels that was broken before the fire. So this actually, we found fragments of this pot inside 2 different structures. So what we've done here is to stick all those bits back together, and we did this so that and kind of create a sort of scattergun image of where these different sherds came from across the site and how they refit between the two buildings. It's also really important to get the complete profile of the vessel so that we can draw it and we can calculate the volume of the pot.
So we're looking at a pot that has been stuck together using masking tape as part of the process of analysis, not as a way of displaying it.
It is a form of analysis to work out where those things came from.
Are you going to take it apart again then?
Yes.
You are? After all that work?
Yeah.
Not all the ceramics were broken. Some pots were complete and even contained the leftovers of a meal.
You can see the sort of carbonised remains within the pot. Sometimes you can see grains, fragments of leaves and things like that.
Since then, these burnt food remains have been tested in the lab.
That food crust that was in it, that has been analysed, and it seemed to have contained almost like a porridge-like mixture of partially processed grain, but also there was some organic residue analysis that also showed that it had ruminant fats from animals, particularly with either sheep, goat or red deer.
So you've got a kind of meat and grain stew
Meat and grain stew in that one, and in other ones we find milk products, dairy products and honey as well. And also what you never get is meat and milk together, and you never get fish and milk together either. I mean, so there are certain things they didn't like putting together and there's certain things that they did.
Looking at this one here, it's really beautiful, and I look at that and just really admire the craft that's gone into it, and also marvel at the fact that this wasn't made on a wheel.
The level of accomplishment by the potters at Must Farm is extraordinary. You can, if I just do it, we can show...
You got it?
Yeah, I've got it. When this vessel was being built, when it began to dry, kind of a leather hard stage, as we called it, that it was probably scraped out to thin the walls of the pot to make this a fine, thin-walled vessel. And if we turn over the vessel, this would have been the original colour of the pot, the dark, black, lustrous finish.
That's not the burning?
No, that was the original colour. This side was actually protected, probably fell into soft mud or silts or was caught in some of the debris. And this bit was exposed to the heat of the conflagration. The refiring has caused that to crack in the heat.
That's just lovely. Nearly 3,000 years old.
Yes.
What is fantastic about this site is that everything here is suggestive that it's the everyday objects that people would have had day in, day out.
And it feels very familiar. If you think it's got a few of the bigger ones for storing foods, presumably mostly, and then you've got lots of smaller ones which are presumably for everyday use and for eating.
I mean, if you went and looked in your cupboard at home today, you'd have something similar. You have cereal bowls, you have pasta bowls, you have this real different range of material, and we're seeing the same thing, but in a settlement that existed in 850 BC, 3,000 years ago. I
think what really comes through to me as well is that it's only at this point, years later, where actually the story comes together, where we're able to, look at these wonderful pots and not just admire them, but actually understand them and know what they were for.
Come and search for we who search and